Hi everyone, I'm Jody. Welcome back to my channel. I get the question around bronze and contour. Questions like how do you bronze, how do you contour, what's the difference, what's the best product for each of those? I get those questions a lot, so I wanted to make a video dedicated solely to contour / bronzing for our more mature skin. So I'm going to walk you through the different types of products, creams versus powders, what's the benefit of each, where do you contour, where do you bronze, why do you contour, why do you bronze, and if you even need to and should you do both at the same time. So if you are ready for a deep dive on all things bronze and contour on more mature skin, let's just get right into it. One of the first things to think about when it comes to contouring versus bronzing is contouring is meant to give you a structure to your face. So for example, if you feel like your face is more round and you lack structure from a cheekbone, then contouring might be something you want to do. Also, if you feel like your jawline has softened or molded into your chin area as you've gotten older, then again, contouring might be something you want to do to give a little bit more definition to your jawline. You can also use contouring if you find that your hairline has receded a little bit and you want to bring that forward. You can contour or use some shadow to add structure there as well. When it comes to contouring, you want to use a color that is more on a brown ashy versus bronze. That's more warm. So let me give you an example of some good contours. This is Baby Got Bronze by Essence, and this is the color Crush on Caviar. Now, when it comes to a contour, it's usually a little darker color. You may not need that dark. I just like a dark contour because I like to blend it out. You'll notice it's to the cool side. So think more ashy undertones, a little more on the gray side, because you want it to look like a shadow. So think about that when you look at the color that works best for you. On the other side of the spectrum, when you're going to bronze, you want your bronze to be much more of a warm undertone, like the sun has just given you a flush of color. Here is the same product, Baby Got Bronze by Essence, and this is in the color Cinnamon Spice. And that is what I would use for a bronzer. So if you are in the market for a contour, you want to look for a darker color like this. If you're on the market for a bronze, then you want something that's a little more warm, but you want it to be in your skin tone. So these colors might be too light or too dark depending on if you're more fair, you want to go lighter in both of these. If your skin tone is darker than mine, then you want to go darker than both of those, except that contour. That contour is pretty dark. I just like a dark contour. There are so many products on the market when it comes to contouring and bronzing, so I'm going to limit our conversation today to just a few cream products in both categories and then a few powder. If you're saying, Jody, I'm still confused, where do I even start? I would say for an everyday look, as we're going into summer, really just focus on bronze, warming up the face, and you can use a cream product or a powder product to do that bronze. So let's start with contouring and then we'll work our way into bronzing. Now, when it comes to contouring product formulations, there's a variety on the market. There's the cream that we just talked about. There's some powders. One that I really like is this Kevin Aucoin powder. This is in medium. So you can see it's kind of got a bit of a cool tone to it. Let me just show you real quick what I mean by that in terms of powder. Again, here's a great example of a contour powder versus a bronze powder. See the difference? Again, a cool tone versus a warm tone for your bronzer. This is the Kevin Aucoin face powder in medium, and this bronzer is by NYX called Buttermelt Bronze, and it's in shade Butter Off. So once you've decided the product that you like, whether the formula is in a cream or a powder, and whichever one is right for you, I would just recommend something that's easy to blend, and if you have more mature skin and you have more texture on your skin, I would also recommend going in with a cream really lightly. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So first thing, when it comes to contouring, again, I like a dark contour. You don't have to go that dark, but I really like these. In fact, I have compared this one to, I love this Dior. This is a Dior foundation, and I just love the color of that contour. It's a foundation, but I love it for a contour. See how ashy that is? It's a cool tone. Really love this. This is in shade 03 medium, and this is the Dior Forever Stick Foundation. So really just look for a cream product that is more on the neutral to almost grayish brown to get your contour. Now when it comes to where to contour, this is the easiest way to think about contouring when it comes to your face. I could show you how I would contour the structure of my face, but my face shape is different than yours. My bone structure is different. There's cheekbones that I don't want to emphasize, and you may want to emphasize your cheekbones. When it comes to contouring, I will take a fluffy brush and just get a little bit of product, even though this is cream, on my brush. This is the BK Beauty 106. Then what you're going to want to do is take a pencil and go from the outer corner of your mouth and put that pencil in the center of your ear. Not the top, not the bottom, but right at the center and corner of your mouth. So see where that lines up right there? Now that's where you're going to want to put your contour, and you want to go at the top of that brush really, really lightly. See how that looks just like that? Then I'll take what's on my brush and just go along my jawline. Now I like to contour a little bit up and a little bit under. So right on that edge. I don't put that contour all underneath, and I don't put it all above. You want to just give some shade and some definition. So a little bit high, a little bit low. And then I like to go just behind that jaw to give that little definition right here. I just think that just makes the neck look more, I don't know, attractive. Now, if you have a receding hairline like I do, where it kind of goes back, I just like to fill in that space so that it doesn't make my forehead look as far back. If you have a hairline that comes more forward, you don't want to contour here, because in essence, it just makes your forehead look smaller. If your hairline on the side comes out farther here, you don't want to contour that, because again, you're making that area of skin appear smaller. So the one area that makes a big impact when it comes to contouring on women with more mature skin is that cheekbone area. So start there first and then work your way into other parts of your face. Now the key is you want to blend it out really softly, and I'll show you how to do that. You're just gonna go and just puff and pounce and buff and pounce, puff and pounce and buff and bounce. Yeah, perfect. Now it takes a little bit of time to buff out your contour, but it is well worth it, because when you don't do this, you can definitely see, and you don't want to have a contour line. You don't want anybody to know you've contoured. It's really meant for more of an optical illusion, and you just buff it out. Blend it down the neck. Now, if you find that there's still a line there that you're not in love with, just take your foundation brush, whatever you had foundation on, and put it right on top of that line to almost undersculpt where the two products come together. And I always like to contour this little part that hangs down. It just helps to pull back the jaw. And then just blend out that area where you put the contour on your cheek. When it comes to contouring on more mature skin, I don't bring that contour any more around my face than that outer corner of my eye. So I really try to keep that contour so that when you're looking at me, it's on the sides of my face, not in the front, because no one's face kind of caves in the front. It's when you look at them and it goes around and it starts to shadow, that's where you want your contour to start. So think about where your face starts to curve, or no more than that outer corner of your eye. And then just buff and pounce. And you really don't want to move this too much. You don't want to move it too far down. It starts to look real muddy. So keep it where we put that line. Now to get used to this, you guys, you can draw that line with like your eyebrow pencil or an eyeliner, just because it's a smaller line. Maybe use a brown lip liner, a brown brow pencil, or a brown eyeliner. And you can just draw yourself that straight line really lightly, and use that as a template to buff it out. In fact, do I have an eyeliner here? I have an old eyebrow pencil. So you could just go something like this, like old school, and draw yourself a template line, and then go in with your buffer so that you're making sure that you're leaving that contour right at that line. And if you don't even want to go buy a contour, use your eyebrow pencil for the first couple days. See how you like the looks of contour on your skin before you even go and invest in a contour. These are $6 or $7, so not a big investment, but still $6 or $7, that's a cup of coffee. Or it's being an ambassador of the channel for almost a full year. Being an ambassador is just 99 cents a month, $12 a year. It really helps the channel, so thank you so much if you want to support the channel, for becoming a channel ambassador. So see how nice that blends out? I'll need to spend a little more time blending out that eyebrow liner that I put, but I do recommend using that line as a template. I like to also use what's left on my brush and just go a little bit into my hairline. As your temples start to lose volume, you don't want to use any contour in that hollow space. If you have hollow space, where you can see I definitely do right through here. Now you can get filler in that area. I haven't done that. I'm a little scared to do that, but you can have a filler put in that to make that temple area look less sunk. But you can also add a little bit of concealer, so brightening product in that area to help pull that forward. If you have not lost volume in that area, then just take your contour along your hairline and down so that it all looks connected. Now I'm going to bring my hair down just so that you can see what that looks like from one side to the next. Let me do both sides. It'll be a little harder to tell on my face because I do have longer hair, but see how this side doesn't have much curvature or structure to it, and this side definitely has some structure. And when you look head on, you can see how this jawline looks a little bit more, dare I say snatched, but sort of, right? It looks a little more tight and pulled back. It's clearly just an optical illusion. Now you see how easy that blended out with a cream. If you prefer using a powder, then I would just use a pencil brush that looks something like this so that you're not putting that contour in too large of a space on your face. Get whatever contour powder you like. Again, this is Medium by Aucoin, and you would just do the same thing where we put that cream contour. Here's a pro tip. If you are wanting your contour to last all day, or you have a special event coming up and you really want it to just look really professional but last throughout hours and hours of, dancing, humidity, whatever, put your contour on with a cream product like we just did, and then go over it with a powder. So in essence, you're setting it with just a light dusting of powder to help lock in that contour. On a day-to-day basis, I do a light contour with cream, but I don't go back and set it with powder, but you certainly could. If you don't want to use a powder at all, you could go and set this real lightly with a dusting of setting spray, and it will also help lock in that cream contour. Now on this side, I'm going to do bronze. You may be asking, do I need to do both? It really, again, depends on what you're trying to achieve. In the summer, I will do less contour and just much more bronze. I will pull out my contour if it's, again, a special event, if I'm going to be at a wedding, or if I'm going to be on TV and I really want some just definition and structure to my face. But on a normal basis, on my more mature skin, I really just want some warmth and a little bit of movement to the face. I don't want a hard structure to the face. But again, if you have more of a round face, for example, and you like a more chiseled look, then contour every day. Just do it in a real light way and blend it out so that it's not obvious, but the effects of it can be stunning. When it comes to using bronze, it requires, dare I say, less structure and precision on the placement. You really just want to warm up the face. So you can either quickly go and dot your face and then blend it out. I don't like to do that because I just find that wherever I stamped it first, it's harder to blend, and that's the same with any of the products, whether it's a more expensive product or a drugstore product. I just find it hard to blend once I've done that. So I'm going to go back in with this fluffy brush, and I'm going to take that bronzer now right on my brush. Now to bronze, I'm really just trying to warm up the face, so really lightly, little circles, and I'll go back and blend that out. I just want to kind of give you guys an idea. Think about this as a number 3, or if you're doing your whole face, a figure 8. Around the hairline, right through the temple, lightly though, if you have sunken temples, on the cheekbone, a little bit farther in the face than you would your bronze, and then down through here, right on that jawline. So you're just trying to warm up the areas of the face. So either a number 3 or a figure 8, whichever is easiest for you. And then really softly just blend it out. You don't want to blend it all the way to your eyebrow. That looks a little unnatural. Just a real light hand that says I've been out in the sun. And then I like to pull that down so that I don't have any discoloration between my face and my neck. See the difference? A little bit more structure on this side, a little bit more soft, natural. I've been out in the sun. Now, same thing, since I applied this with a cream product, I could go back with a bronze powder and really lightly put the powder over it, or I could just use the powder or just use the cream. If you want to lock in that bronze look all day, I recommend the cream and then put the powder on top of it to really lock it in. But it's just a nice soft look to the skin, perfect for summertime, I think. And then what's missing is a little bit of blush. I don't do a lot of blush in summer. I've really been loving this NYX Buttermelt highlighter, you guys. This is in You Butta Work, and it is stunning because not only does it have a little highlighter in it, it has just a touch of blush, so you don't have to add much at all. In fact, I really like to get the smallest amount. This is a Wet n Wild brush, old, but I like how fluffy it is for my blush. And then I just put like a little bit. Look how pigmented that stuff is, and it has highlighter already in it. So just real quick, I've been using this a lot lately instead of my cream blushes because it's just fast. It has a little bit of highlight and it just adds a little touch of color without looking like you've spent too much time, right? I just love that. And again, did I say I think it is? Yeah, You Butta Work. So this is contouring. This is bronzing. This requires more precision, but is a more sculpted payoff. Just be sure to use your outer corner to your ear to find the best placement for your contour, and don't bring it any more forward than the curve of your face. Bronzing requires less precision, more of a soft touch of color, and you want to look for shades that are warm. Can you do both of these together? You can. I just wouldn't recommend it because once you start mixing the contour shade with the bronze shade, it just can turn a muddy color. The placement can be off a little bit. So I would really stick with one or the other of these two techniques, depending on what look you're going for. Again, structured, really fine, but you don't have to have full glam for this. This can be a no makeup day or a softer, blown out, I've been in the sun kind of a look. At the end of the day, you guys, the biggest takeaways when it comes to contouring and bronzing is the placement of the product and the shade of the product. Again, cooler tones, more almost gray browns, make really good contour, and then warmer browns lend themselves to your bronze. And then choose if you want powder or cream. It's really that simple. I hope this video takes away some of the guesswork for you and makes the idea of contouring and or bronzing a fun idea for you and one that you get encouraged and excited about to go give a try. And for practice, to see if you're gonna like the overall look, like I said, pull out your brow pencils, your darker lip liners maybe, your eyeliners if you have some brown ones, and try those as your contour, and or try some brown eyeshadows so that you start to see what shade you like for your contour and your blush. You probably have some warm tone brown eyeshadows and some cooler tone brown taupe eyeshadows that you can use for your contour, just to give yourself some practice and see what you like best. Well, that does it for me today, you guys. Let me know in the comment what your favorite contour and or bronze is right now. I'm always on the market for some new ones, although I have to say I'm really loving these ones by Essence. I did pick up the new Tarte one, the Sculpt Tape Contour. I think I'm gonna put this in a Friday face-off against these $6 ones because you cannot go on social media without seeing people loving these. They look very much like a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I'm curious to see what the formula is, how easy these are to blend out. So let me know if you wanna see that in a Friday face-off. But definitely let me know what your favorite bronze and contour products are today. I'll see you guys in just a couple days. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.